Flats. For the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies!
All right, Smokies fans, welcome back to another live pilot pregame show alongside Richie Juliano. I'm Connor Nelson, and we are here in the Home Run Hangout here in the Yardley Flats. An amazing venue. We've been here now 2 days in a row, Rich. We're here right behind this display of baseball bats as we get a kind of full 360 tour of the place. I mean, this is just an incredible hangout. Right now, being underutilized because there's not a lot of people here in this second building, which we've got to let everybody know there's one-bedroom unit starting at $15.99 at yardleyflats.com. But, I mean, Rich, this is a spectacular area to hang out and take in a ball game.
Yeah, poolside view. You got a direct look at home plate and the pitcher's mound, so you can watch the entire game up here. And then you could put another game on the TV with all the couches. And you also got the lounge area in here with some taps and some snacks. So I'd spend all night in here, I think.
Yeah, and the taps, you mentioned it right there. If you're really trying to get wild over here in the Yardley Flats, they have everything you need. So make sure to check out yardleyflats.com for more information on where you can, I don't know, maybe catch your next Smokies game or maybe move in. But, Rich, before we get into all the action today, we've got a big announcement. We got news late last night, early this morning, that one of our top prospects will no longer be repping the Knoxville Smokies. Jackson Wiggins just got the call to AAA Iowa. So first of all, congratulations to him, wishing him the best of luck at the next level. But Rich, I don't know about you. I'm kind of sad we don't get to see this guy one more time.
Yeah, he was one of the best pitchers that the Smokies had all year. Upper 90s fastball like we saw last night with Rocket City starter. And one of the top guys that the Cubs want to get up to the big league. So, it's a good thing that he's progressing in the Cubs system. But he was scheduled to pitch this weekend, so we are going to miss out on that. But, congratulations to Jackson Wiggins on his time here. He was phenomenal. They limited his action this year because of load management. So he didn't pitch every weekend, missed a month, but still happy to see him get up to Iowa.
Yeah, we'll get into a little bit of the more load management conversation here in a bit. But electric stuff, who knows? Mick Gillespie, voice of Smokies Baseball, has been a big advocate of the fact that Wiggins has the stuff to potentially make an impact on the Cubs roster here at the end of the season. But with 40-man roster moves and all that, very unlikely, especially with how he's been building up. But who knows? 2026 could be a huge year. So remember the name, Jackson Wiggins.
Yeah, and he could be in the Cubs bullpen, who knows, at the beginning of next year. This is a guy that reminds me of Daniel Palencia, who's the Cubs closer right now. Palencia was with the ball club 2 years ago as a starting pitcher, and he was throwing upper 90s, had a good breaking ball that he developed in spring training. And then they moved him to the back end of the bullpen, and you see what he's doing with Chicago right now, saving games every night for the Cubs. So you could see Wiggins as a starter, or if they want to really manage his load, then you put him in the bullpen.
That'd be filthy. You got Wiggins with a little bit of depth there. You can throw him 7-8 and then Palencia for 9. I would not want to be an opposing team having to face those guys in the back half of the ball game down by 1 or 2. So let's go ahead and get into our tonight's action right now. And first, we got to start it off with game number 1. We had our series opener last night at Covenant Health Park, and it was a pitcher's duel all the way through, Rich. And first off, we got to shout out Tommy Romero. An amazing start, 7 innings. First time he's done that in a long time. I know you got all the details, but a phenomenal outing from him. What did you notice first?
Yeah, all over the strike zone yesterday. Only 1 earned run. And honestly, the Smokies missed a cutoff. They didn't communicate defensively and threw a ball to second base when they should have thrown it home. And that's how Rocket City scored the only run of the game. But he was electric, changing speeds, changing locations. And for Tommy Romero, we haven't seen him go more than 5 innings this year. And he just exploded for a 7-inning outing the first time since 2021. And then the next year, he got to the big leagues in 2022. So right now, Tommy Romero trying to get back to Major League action and he is proving himself down here in Double-A.
Yeah, crazy. You don't see anybody going into the 7th inning this season. I believe he might be the first one that we've seen complete a full 7 for the Smokies this year. So an incredible feat, not to be overlooked. So excited to see what Tommy Romero is able to put together for the rest of the season, as we're down to just one more series after we complete this one here at home. And then we got one more highlight from last night, Rich, and you're actually the voice of this highlight. Jordan Wogu, a guy that we've talked so highly of the past couple of weeks, made an insane play. So got to shout out Dustin Hilbelink as well, one of the amazing videographers for the Knoxville Smokies, who captured this moment. Let's go ahead and play the video.
Here's the 0-2. Change up, popped him up. Shallow left field. Wogu coming in, still coming. On a slide, he makes the catch. Man, he ran a country mile in shallow left.
So shout out Jordan Wogu. Shout out Rich. That was a pretty phenomenal call. A country mile.
Yeah, not bad.
You ripped that off one off the dome?
I did. You know, after our race last night, I got up in the booth a little bit late, and I'm glad I got greeted by a Jordan Wogu sliding catch. And, you know, he's been a highlight for this team over the month of August. You know, he's on one of the best stretches right now in the Southern League offensively. And then he's still got the glove out there in left field, and we're going to see him back in left again tonight.
Yeah, glad he's back in the lineup. We've been talking to him a lot recently. His swing is looking great. Like you said, he's on a tear, and that X-Factor speed able to make an impact on the defensive side as well. And then you mentioned the race. We don't have any video yet for our Pilot pregame show, Faithful, but later in the week we will have a montage. We had the broadcast team do the bottom of the 4th inning Swaggerty sausage race, so some more content from that coming a little bit later in the week. But let's go ahead and get into today's action, and we'll go ahead and start with the Southern League standings, because as we know, coming down to the final stretch of the season, the Smokies at the beginning of the second half were hopeful for that last playoff spot coming out of the Southern League North, but it's been a pretty tough situation so far, and after the loss last night, here's where they stand right now, 8.5 games back. Richie, what jumps off the page for you?
Yeah, yesterday really hurt in the series opener, losing the game, because Birmingham is on a little bit of a losing skid right now. They lost again last night to Chattanooga in their series opener, so the Smokies missed an opportunity to gain a game in the standings, and they're still 8.5 back with only 11 to play, so it's going to be really hard to catch the top-seeded Barons. Rocket City's already eliminated, but still playing some competitive baseball that we saw last night. And then in the Southern League South, Montgomery is really starting to pull away. They're 5 games ahead of Columbus, 5 games ahead of Pensacola, and then Biloxi, who won the Southern League South in the first half, is now in last place. So whoever wins the North, I think, has a really good chance to maybe go on and win the championship series.
Yeah, and all of these rosters have been shaken up a ton. And if we're talking about the Smokies, they've had one of the most consistent rosters throughout this entire season. We've had a few new additions to the starting rotation recently, as well as a couple of bats that we've seen make an impact. But 8.5 games back with only, how many did you say?
I think 11 to play.
11 left to play, yes, after playing yesterday. So it could come to an end as soon as Saturday if we're not able to pull out some wins and Birmingham is able to go on a run. So hopeful the Smokies can stay in the win column and keep themselves alive for some playoff chances, as we're just 2 series away from the end of the very first season here in Covenant Health Park. But if we get into what Covenant Health Park fans are going to be seeing tonight, we've got another solid pitching matchup. And to start it off, why don't you tell everybody who's going to be on the mound for the Smokies today?
Yeah, part of the 2023 championship team, and Walker Powell back on a rehab assignment. Last outing, he went 6 innings, which is a great sign, the most he's thrown in a couple of years. And he went 4 hits, 1 run at Birmingham with 4 strikeouts. He will face Rocket City for the second time this year against the Trash Pandas back on August 14th. Just 3 innings, and they hit him pretty well. 6 hits and 5 runs, and Rocket City, for whatever reason, they play their best baseball against the Smokies. They have now won 11 games, have still lost 13, but they've beaten the Smokies more than they've beaten any other team in this league. So Walker Powell looking to bounce back after a difficult outing against the Trash Pandas last time, but he showcases some good pitches. He's got a fastball, a sinker, a curve slider, and a changeup. And the big right-hander who's got that high arm slot, it could be devastating with his curveball.
Yeah, here's some highlights from his debut back on Knoxville Giants night on August 8th. Hoping to rekindle some of that light, as he got a pretty good start that day. Team didn't come out with the win, so looking to change that, but looking for some more quality innings out of Walker Powell. And then if we look on the other side, it's another right-handed pitcher in Joel Hurtado on the mound tonight for the Trash Pandas. 24-year-old right-hander, making his 16th start of 2025, but we haven't seen him in a while. Him, like Jackson Wiggins, was limited right around the middle half of the season due to some load management issues. And so he's only pitched twice now in August and twice since the month of June. So we'll see how he fares against the Smokies. He's gone 1 inning in his 2 starts ago and then 2 innings in his last start. So the Smokies have seen him twice this season. He's gone 9 1/3 innings, only allowing 1 run and striking out 7. So Smokies haven't seen him the best so far this season, but not sure how long we're going to see him. So hopefully they can dive into that bullpen quickly and get to a lot of those different arms, make it a kind of an offensive blowout after hopefully I think we were saving all the runs for game 2 yesterday. Yeah, bats came along late in last night's game, had a chance in the 9th inning to either tie or take the game, but they waited to the final inning and couldn't pull it out. So, key tonight against Hurtado is to warm the bats up early, get some confidence in the 1st and 2nd inning so that Rocket City will go to their bullpen. Yeah, and now let's go ahead and get into the 1 through 9s that both of these pitchers will be battling here today. We'll go ahead and start it off with the Rocket City side since we're just talking about Joel Hurtado. Rich, why don't you give us the Rocket City 1 through 9? Yeah, David Mershon leads it off, the shortstop. He scored the only run of the ball game yesterday in a 1-0 Trash Pandas win. Ben Goebel back at third, batting second. Former big leaguer and Oscar Colas, who played 2 years with the Chicago White Sox. He bats third and left. Ryan Nicholson is the cleanup hitter and the designated hitter. Corey Holland bats fifth and right. Matt Kootenai batting sixth, the first baseman. David Calabrese, who has been a thorn in the Smoky side, and he is hitting .400 against the starting pitcher in Walker Powell in his career against Powell. So he bats seventh and is in center. Miles Emerson, the 8-hitting catcher, and Errol Vera, the switch-hitting second baseman, bats ninth. And as Connor mentioned, Hurtado is their starting pitcher. Trash Pandas 20-38 and eliminated here in the second half. Yeah, and if you're looking at the Smokies 1 through 9, 28-29 coming into this game here in the second half. And we're going to talk about some of our favorite featured batters as we run through this lineup. So firstly, got to start it up at the top as always with our Mint Gaming Hall leadoff batter of the game. And tonight, manager Lance Reimel has a familiar face slotted back up into the leadoff spot in Brett Bateman. So the center fielder going to be back up into the leadoff spot. I'll ask you a similar question as we always do, Rich. What is going to make the most impact in today's game? Brett Bateman's speed, his glove, or his bat? You love this question, and I'm gonna stick with the bread and butter with his glove because out there in center field he plays on an island, but I'll tell you what, it's hard to get your boat on the shore in that island because Brett Bateman does a great job protecting it. He's one of the best defensive center fielders in this Southern League, and back in the leadoff spot where he has excelled this year. Jefferson Rojas gets the night off, and he's been the leadoff man the last week and a half. So good to see Brett Bateman back in the lineup as the leadoff hitter. Yeah, and if we move it down a little bit, Pedro Ramirez will be batting second, playing third base. Corey Joyce in the 3 spot at second. And then we've got our exterior home solutions cleanup batter, and Smokies fans already know who it's going to be. We're talking about B.J. Murray Jr., leading the team in home runs, tied for the league lead in those bombs, and leading the Southern League in RBIs. So looking for another big night from Murray. Was limited last night in his action with the team scoring no runs. But if they're going to score some runs tonight, I'm sure B.J. Murray Jr. will be a part of the equation. Yeah, I think he wants another crack on scoring some runs because last night with runners at first and third and 1 out, he popped out. And the Smokies ended up losing that game. So, hopefully for B.J. Murray, he gets another chance to drive in some runners. And as Connor mentioned, a league best 82 runs batted in. So the guy you want up in that situation. And if we move it down further in the lineup, batting fifth tonight will be the shortstop Jefferson Rojas. In the 6th spot will be the DH Pablo Aliendo. And then in the 7-hole, circle your lineup cards, folks. We've got our Wendy's double stack batter of the game chosen by our shadower today, Connor. No, I'm not talking about myself, but we've got the whole broadcast team in the house. We've got producers Phil, producers Jimbo along for the ride with us. And we've got a shadow today. His name's Connor. So no, not just my actual shadow, but he actually is taller than me. So technically I'm in his shadow, Rich, which Jason pointed out earlier. So Jason, I'm still mad at you for that comment. But we're talking about Jordan Wogu. That was Connor's pick. If Wogu gets a double tonight, we're all going home with that free double stack coupon. And I wouldn't, count out the fact that you might see Richie and I there at Wendy's with you. And as we get another look at Wogu's first home run of the season back on Sunday's finale against the Barons, a phenomenal home run, an absolute bomb. You can see he looks right back at the dugout because he knew it was gone. not a lot of whole balls come off the bat where you can do that, Rich. And so really fun to see him really excelling here in Double-A, and excited to have him back in the 7-hole.
Yeah, good pick by Connor, the shadower tonight of Connor Nelson, and leading the Smokies the last 10 games with a .429 batting average. So this is definitely the guy you want to get a Wendy's double stack coupon. He's been hot.
Yep. So for our in-house scorers tonight, circle that spot. Jordan Wogu in the 7-hole. And then if we move it down a little bit further, we've got Casey Opitz, the switch hitting catcher, batting 8th, and Andy Garriola, the right fielder, rounding out the lineup for Lance Reimel, all behind Walker Powell. So let's go ahead and get into our final segment here on the Pilot pregame show. Rich, our players to watch. So I'll throw it to you first. Which guy are you going to be watching real closely tonight to make an impact for the Smokies?
I'm going to pick Pedro Ramirez. Was not in the starting lineup yesterday, which is rare. He plays almost every single game, and then came off the bench as a pinch hitter in a tough situation in the 9th inning. I think it was a great move by Lance Reimel. It was a right-handed reliever. Ramirez, who's been one of your most consistent bats, he comes off to pinch in the 9th, so it's righty against lefty. You feel good about where you're at. And then Kenyon Yovan, the reliever for Rocket City, just threw a dot on the inside corner to strike him out. So I think, like Murray, they were both in that situation last night to drive in a run, and they failed to do it. So want some revenge here tonight.
Yeah, we were ready to go down there to possibly interview a walk-off candidate, and when Pedro Ramirez came up, first off, you knew he wasn't playing that day because he was subbed in, and he wasn't wearing any swag, no arm sleeves, no wrist tape, no Evo shields even. And Pedro's always a guy who's rocking the same set of swag, always looks good out there. So fresh off of the bench, I really thought he was going to get the job done. Unfortunately, had a long at-bat, a good at-bat at that, but wasn't able to come through. Back in the starting lineup tonight, so he's going to get more than just one chance, and I think that's going to be his biggest spot tonight out in the 2-hole. So I like your pick there. And for mine, I'm also going with a guy who was not in the lineup last night. The catcher tonight, Casey Opitz. Seems like the Smokies always just play well when he's in the game. Leads pitchers through games very easily. And when you get some production for that bat, it's just an added bonus because he's also got a cannon for a right arm that has been gunning down runners all season long. So Casey Opitz is my guy, currently on a 6-game on-base streak. Looking for him to extend that here tonight. So, Rich, now that we're wrapping up our Pilot pregame show, any final words for our Covenant Health Park crowd here?
Yeah, only a couple nights left at the ballpark. So, share it to your friends and family and those watching on YouTube and on the Smokies Baseball Network. Be sure to come out because after tonight, only 4 games left to play in the regular season in our inaugural first year at Covenant Health Park. So be sure to get out to the ballpark at least one more time.
That's right. And fans can't forget to remind you that our Pilot pregame show is, of course, sponsored by Pilot. As a proud sponsor of the Knoxville Smokies, Pilot's out here to fuel your game day drive with gas, snacks, and more. Ready for it, Rich?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Pilot,
see you out here.
All right, love doing that. Well, folks, for our fans here at Covenant Health Park, that's going to wrap up our Pilot pregame show. So make sure you lock in. We've got a 7 o'clock first pitch start. It's going to be Smokies versus Trash Pandas coming up right after this.
Fans, for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies! Woo!